Hello there, Year 3, and welcome to our last text in this sort of style for the term. This one is called Fossils, so it's a non-fiction text all about fossils. So we're going to be doing the Sat A questions today. We're going to be going through reading the text first, and then we're going to go through and find out what the answers are and how to achieve full marks for each question. So, as we usually do, I'm going to start reading, and then we're going to dive into that. So, fossils. A fossil is physical evidence of a prehistoric plant or animal. This may be their preserved remains or other traces, such as marks they made in the ground while they were alive. Fossilized remains, including fossil bones and teeth, are also known as body fossils. Fossilized shells are also body fossils. Other fossils, signs of plants animals, are called trace fossils. Dinosaur trace fossils include footprints, imprints of their skin or feathers and poo, called coprolites. Does everything fossilise? Do all living things turn into a fossil once they die? No. Very few things do. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilisation to occur, so it is actually a very rare event. Most things that die rot away completely, leaving nothing behind. Nearly all fossils we find, around 99%, are from marine animals such as shellfish and sharks. This is because they lived in the sea, where sand or mud could bury their remains quickly after they died. Once remains are buried under sediment, their decomposition slows down due to a lack of oxygen, giving enough time for fossilisation to occur. How do fossils form? The most common way an animal, such as a dinosaur, fossilises is called petrification. These are the key steps. 1. The animal dies. 2. Soft parts of the animal's body, including skin and muscles, start to rot away. Scavengers may come and eat some of their remains. 3. Before the body disappears completely, it is buried by sediment, mud, sand or silt. Often, at some point, only the bones and teeth remain. 4. Many more layers of sediment build up on top. This puts a lot of weight and pressure onto the layers below, squashing them. Eventually, they turn into sedimentary rock. 5. While this is happening, water seeps into the bones and teeth, turning them into stone as it leaves behind minerals. This process can take thousands or even millions of years. Tree fossils are also known as petrified wood, form in the same way. This is why it's possible to count growth rings of some fossils trees. Uplift, weather and erosion. Why we can find fossils. How do we find fossils when they've been buried under millions of years worth of rock? It's down to a combination of uplift, weathering and erosion, plus luck. The Earth's surface is broken up into huge irregular shaped pieces, tectonic plates, that fit together like a jigsaw. These plates drift around very slowly, driven by heat from within the Earth. In certain parts of the world, these plates will collide. This can force areas of rock together and push them upwards. In the most dramatic instances, such uplift can form mountain ranges. This is why fossils of marine animals can be found at the top of Mount Everest. Uplift is only part of the story. Weathering and erosion from wind, rain, ice, heat and rivers break rocks apart and wash the fragments away, leaving fossils exposed. So there we go. We're now going to read through the questions, and then we're going to see how we can achieve full marks for each answer. So, starting off with the vocabulary section. Question 1. Look at the first paragraph. Find and copy a word that means proof. Look at the first paragraph. Find and copy a word that means proof. So I should know exactly where I'm going to look. I'm going to be looking at the first paragraph, and I'm finding and copying a word that means the same thing as proof. So let's read that first paragraph. A fossil is physical evidence of a prehistoric plant or animal. So I'm trying to find a word that means the same thing as proof. I think I've already spotted it in that sentence there. The word should be evidence. Evidence is the word I'm looking for there. So all I need to write down is the word evidence, and that will get me the mark. Okay, question 2. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilisation to occur. In this sentence, the word occur means tick 1. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilization to occur. In this sentence, the word occur means tick 1. So again, I'm going to do my old trick of replace the word occur with all 4 of these options that we've got. So we've got the options of soil, break down, take place, and bury. I'm going to replace the word with one of those and see which one makes sense. So a specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilization to soil. Does that make sense? Nope. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilization to break down. Okay, could be that. That seems to make sense. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilization to take place. That sounds believable. A specific set of circumstances and conditions are needed for fossilization to bury. That doesn't quite sound right, so no. So we now know, we've whittled it down to 2 options. It's either break down or it's take place. But we're looking for the word occur. What does occur mean? Does it mean to break down? Or does it mean to take place? Well, knowing what the word means, the answer is to take place. Take place is the answer I should be ticking, so that's the one I'm going to tick. Take place. Question 3. Look at the section of text beginning, do all living things turn? Find and copy one word that means found in the sea. Look at the section of text beginning, do all living things turn? Find and copy one word that means found in the sea. So I'm going to be looking back at that section of text beginning, do all living things turn. Yep, there it is. Just underneath it does everything fossilize. So it says, do all living things turn into a fossil once they die? No, very few things do. And I'm looking for a word that means the same as found in the sea. So that word I am looking for, it's a little bit lower down there. It's where it says nearly all fossils we find, around 99%, are from marine animals. Marine is the word that means found in the sea. Anything to do with marine is something to do with the sea, okay? So marine is the word I need to write down there. Okay, question 4, retrieval. Give 2 examples of body fossils. Give 2 examples of body fossils. So I need to find something to do with body fossils and I need 2 examples. So we can see right at the top there actually, it says fossilized remains including bones and teeth are known as body fossils. So we're getting there. There it is. So there are 2 examples right there. It's bones and teeth. So we could have either of those. But if you read the next line underneath, fossilized shells are also body fossils. So you could actually have shells as an option as well. But bones and teeth are probably going to be the most common answers. But if you put shells, I'd also award you the mark if you put that instead. But if you got bones and one of the others, or teeth and shells as well, that's fine. So any combination, any of those 3, but we just need 2 of the options to get the mark. Right, question 5. What creatures are most fossils we find from? What creatures are most fossils we find from? So I need to have a look through the text again, so just have a look. It's right there on that does everything fossilised section. So it says there, nearly all fossils we find, around 99%, are made from marine animals such as shellfish and sharks. So the question is asking me, what creatures are most fossils we find from? What creatures are most fossils we find from? They are from marine animals such as shellfish and sharks. That's the answer there. So marine animals such as shellfish and sharks. That's going to get you the mark. Right, question 6. Complete the table below with one piece of evidence to support each statement. Complete the table below with one piece of evidence to support each statement. So we've got fossils from the sea can be found in the mountains, and we've got uplift isn't the only reason fossils are formed. So if we just have a look for the evidence, so we're looking something to do to start with the first one. So fossils from the sea can be found in the mountains. Let's just have a look. Well, actually, if we look down at the bottom where it says about uplift, weathering and erosion, why we can find fossils. So the first one we need is some evidence to do with fossils from the sea can be found in the mountains. It actually right near the bottom there, it says, this is why fossils of marine animals can be found at the top of Mount Everest. So that is going to be an example of a mountain. Mount Everest is a mountain. So that is some evidence for me there. So that's literally what I've written down. This is why fossils of marine animals can be found at the top of Mount Everest. I've literally copied that entire sentence, and that is my answer. So I've not reworded it, I've not put it into my own words. This is a retrieval question, so I've literally taken it from the text, pulled it out, written it down. So there you go. And the other one, uplift isn't the only reason fossils are formed. Well, I know this is the uplift section, so it's definitely in here. And if you look right at the top, it says there, how do we find fossils when they've been buried under millions of years worth of rock? It's down to a combination of uplift, weathering and erosion plus luck. So that's literally the answer, isn't it? That's the evidence. It's down to a combination of uplift, weathering and erosion plus luck. That is literally what I've found and copied. I've written the entire sentence, not part of the sentence, the whole sentence. Okay, that is my full piece of evidence. The whole sentence is the evidence I need, because the question is asking me one piece of evidence to support each statement. So I need to use the whole sentence. I can't just put a little bit. I need the whole sentence to achieve full marks for that one. Right. Inference. Question 7. How do you know fossils are a rare find? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. How do you know fossils are a rare find? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So again, when it says use evidence from the text, it's no good me writing 1 or 2 words. I need evidence from the text. You must make sure you are doing that. Use the evidence from the text. That will get me the mark. So I need to find some evidence that tells me how I know fossils are a rare find. So if I look back through the text, I can see right underneath that section it says, does everything fossilise? It says, do all living things turn into a fossil once they die? No, very few things do. Okay, that is my evidence, isn't it? Very few things do. It says right there, that's how I know it's rare, because very few things turn into fossils. Okay, so that's my evidence. Here's how I put it into an answer. I said, because the text states that very few things do turn into fossils. So that is my answer. I've given evidence from the text. My evidence was very few things do, and I've put it into my own sentence and my own answer. So it says my answer, because the text states that very few things do turn into fossils. And now I've proved my point. I've used evidence from the text. That has achieved me full marks. I must use evidence from the text to support my answer. If I've not used evidence from the text, I do not get the mark. Must use evidence. Right, question 8. Why don't we find fossils of creatures that have died recently? Why don't we find fossils of creatures that have died recently? So, again, if I have a look through the text, there is evidence to support this and tells me exactly why we don't find fossils recently. If you look just above where the uplift section is, it does say in the text quite clearly, this process can take thousands or even millions of years. So this is why we don't find them recently, is because this process can take thousands or even millions of years. So my answer for this one is literally, I've basically used the text again. I've just said, because the process can take thousands/millions of years. That's my answer. I've explained it. I've got the evidence from the text. I've backed up my point. There you go. Okay, I've achieved full marks. Because the process can take thousands/millions of years. Always use the text. It will always give you the answers, okay? It's really important. You are taking the evidence from the text, but in this instance it's not retrieval. This is me using it to back up my point, because my point is I'm saying it does take a long time. So I'm using the evidence to support my answer. Right, question 9, summarising. Here are some summaries of different paragraphs in the text. Number them from 1 to 4 to show the order in which they appear. Here are some summaries of different paragraphs in the text. Number them from 1 to 4 to show the order in which they appear. So we've got why we can find fossils, the process of fossil formation, the difference between trace fossils and bone fossils, and why marine fossils are more common than other fossils. So, interestingly, normally I do go through these ones in the chronological order, but I mean one's just stuck out to me straight away, and that is the why we can find fossils. If you remember, that is actually listed in the text. If you look at the text, look at the subheadings in bold. That one is right at the bottom, isn't it? Why we can find fossils is in bold. It says there, uplift, weathering and erosion, why we can find fossils. That one is very likely going to be the last point, okay? That looks really clear to me that that's going to be point number 4. But let's just have a look and see what we can find. So the first point we can see here, so if we just skim through the top, evidence of plant animals, maybe the prefers other traces. Oh, I read something about traces. Didn't want to say about traces. Yeah. That third one, the difference between trace fossils and bone fossils, that is going to be the first one, isn't it? Because I know it then goes into the bone fossils afterwards. That's point 1. Okay, the difference between trace fossils and bone fossils, is your point 1. Right, what are we thinking? So we know that the top one is probably going to be the last one. Let's have a look. So probably looking for marine fossils or fossil formation. But no, it was marine fossils. Marine fossils was next, wasn't it? Okay, so it says nearly all fossils we found, around 99%, are from marine animals such as shellfish and sharks. That one is your point 2, isn't it? Okay, so why marine fossils are more common than other fossils? That's point 2. Then we've got the fossil formation, of course. It says there how do fossils form, and then you've got your numbered points. That's going to be your point 3, process of fossil formation. So we were right that the last one we need to put is the top one, why we can find fossils. That is the last point. So it should be the order 4, 3, 1, 2. Okay, 4, 3, 1, 2. That is the order that you need. And question 10. We've only got 10 questions this time. Right, meaning as a whole. Tick one box in each row to show whether the statements are true or false. Tick one box in each row to show whether the statements are true or false. So we've got 4 statements this time. We need to decide if they are true or false. So we've got, first one, fossilised shells are called trace fossils. Fossilised shells are called trace fossils. Is that true or false? Well, if I use the evidence from the text, it does say, and I have already used this evidence before, right at the top it says there, fossilised shells are also called body fossils. So are they called trace fossils? No, that one is false. They're called body fossils. It says that right there in the text. The second one, all fossils we find are marine fossils. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, you see, because in the text it does say nearly all fossils we find, around 99%, are from marine animals. So, I can understand why, if you thought this one is going to be false, I can understand that, because it does say nearly all fossils we found, around 99%, are from marine animals. So, I mean, in my head, that tells me, well, possibly then 1% is going to be, not. So then it can't be all of them. However, if you read the bit before that in the text, it does say there, circumstances and conditions in fossilization occurs. So it's a rare event. Most things that die rot away completely, leaving nothing behind. That's going to be your other 1%. It's the most things that die rot away completely, leaving nothing behind. Whereas everything else that does become a fossil is your 99%, which is all found in the sea. So, yeah, most things, if it doesn't turn into a fossil, is going to rot away completely. So actually, that one is true. I think it's a really unfair question, that one, to be honest, because the way it's worded is really just to catch you out. So if you put false, I would totally forgive you on that one. But actually, the answer is true. Right, the next one. Tree fossils are made in the same way as other fossils. Tree fossils are made in the same way as other fossils. If we find that bit about tree fossils, it's again just above that bit with the uplift section. So tree fossils, it says there, tree fossils are also known as petrified wood, form in the same way. This is why it's possible to count the growth rings on some fossil trees. So, are tree fossils made in the same ways as other fossils? Yes, they are. Right, and the last one, fossils are always found close to where they are buried. Are fossils always found close to where they are buried? Well, we know that the final section of the text says that how do we find fossils when they've been buried under millions of years worth of rock? It's down to a combination of uplift, weathering and erosion plus luck. Okay, so if it's obviously plus luck as well, it's not always going to be in the same place, is it? If it was always in the same place, they'd be easy to find and we'd be finding them all the time. Okay, actually it is quite a rare thing for them to be found. Okay, they're quite difficult to find, so it is false for that one. Okay, they're not close to where they've been buried. They do tend to move about. Right, so your answers to that one should be false, true, true, false. Okay, right. So that is the end of the questions for set A. So tune in on Wednesday, I believe. Yep, Wednesday, when we're going to do set B. So we've slightly had to change things around, but this is so that we can basically keep some of these texts going for at least one a week, every week in the next term, because sadly we're running out of them. So I've had to rethink of a way I'm going to do it so that you still get a little bit of me every week. So that's how I've done it. So we've got some different activities coming up. But yeah, it should be fine. So take care, and I will see you then.